the national march on voting rights, because voting rights are under attack. But when I looked at the news, well, won't come in until later this afternoon. Nothing's on right now. Um, where is this? I was looking at something with Florida. Yeah, but what gets me is that he creates a problem, and then this problem is going to grow because all of these persons are not taking the vaccine there, and it's designed to do exactly this, to put the blame on the vaccine. That's the strategy. They're willing to kill their own supporters. That's how afraid of voting rights they are. That's how afraid of the Asians and working people from actually seeing their rights being stripped. You don't do these things. I mean, these are draconian tribalisms that are just destroying the nation, willing to kill their own supporters. But before I get going, I have a little. It's a very major thing that I need help upon. Oh, this gentleman here is named Brandon. I can't say his last name. It's whatever. Brandon owns this radio station, Substation .1 or .one. Well, he owns the domain, so it's an online radio station. Right now, he is in Mexico, and when he first went to Mexico, there was a lot of things going on that were wrong. And there's certain things that happened. I don't want to get into them because it's still an ongoing. Because he's still in Mexico. But I got the vibe, and I won't say why, because I can point to an objective statement and an objective reason. He was sent there by a cartel drug dealer or gangbanger because I of this radio station. The This is still within that circumstances where I'm dealing with this person who is highly narcissistic. Well, there's these three different persons. The purpose for my hypothesis is they sent him there. It's like because this cartel gang member basically was like so the other cartel gang members could keep quote an eye on him. The the situation is the last proof of life was 8 days ago. Granted, there is he did I don't know if he actually put it up or somebody else of a of tomorrow's another one of the DJs on there. But the situation is that gentleman was down there, immediately called the DA in LA County concerning this cartel member because they're operating. Actually, I called Santa Monica and the DA in LA County, and just in case, because he owns the radio station, therefore he has an asset. But the thing is, these three want the asset, but I'm the one with the business plan. I'm the one with the business model. I'm the one who understands how to turn this into large amounts of capital. And yeah, there's a lot of and so I think they used him as their insurance policy. But I called the DA once he went over. So, but because what happened is that's really bothersome is this particular drug dealer and his quote girlfriend, which is the person that was, well, this whole mess. They need, they want. That's what this is what links. Ah, shit. I'm not even. This is not making sense. No, I'm not going to stop. This is what links together the Jay Z, Little Nas, Kathleen Kennedy, persons in government, all are linked together to this situation, to this person. Those persons in government include California's representatives and even possibly the vice president, due to the fact that Ms. Kennedy is the one who is highly involved in the politics of California and the nation. Now, most people would then say, "Well, that's you don't have any proof." Well, I'm one of the few people on this planet who can figure out how to get that proof. Pardon me. This particular drug dealer, as I've stated, what he did is after he sent one thing, two, so we have jurisdiction of Santa Monica, jurisdiction of LA County, and then jurisdiction of Orange County, because once I placed a video up of a particular YouTuber who is also a PhD who helps people, and their main thing is on narcissism. They, this drug dealer and this other person, this person who I was studying narcissism from, who was the narcissist, who also has a is a licensed lawyer, non-practicing because no one wants to work with her. They attacked this person, this who's also a PhD. So they attacked her both legally, and then the cartel member threatened her physically. So and then have this gentleman. Once this gentleman was sent over border, that became a. Now that last statement that I have proven that the YouTuber stated that. That's how I know. The sent him over the border. Once they sent him over the border, that's when I contacted. Well, I'd already tried. I was already setting up a situation. So when I returned to California, if something happened, it would return back to this cartel and drug dealer and gang member, and these three, because it's one of his friends who's also, she's so enmeshed for 20 years of abuse basically, and persons who have been in abusive relationships for long, they can't get out, and 20 years thinking this person's her friend and now finding out, but instead just keeps going farther and farther down the rabbit hole, trying to hopefully change it, because you don't want it, she doesn't want, women are their network, they can't get rid of that. So I assume that she's useless and done. This third person who owns the radio station, he has to either kill him or continuously extract, because he wants to control. They want to control the radio station. And they want my ideas for the to launder money and increase their and the retail sales. But the problem is this cartel member has been threatening, and he's going to get worse. So will this person who is a narcissist, because they're going to get worse. They've already proven that, and I've already that's the reason a lot of things I've done is to stop them, because they're going to hurt people. What happened is, this is my hypothesis, which once again is more than a hypothesis, but for me to get the actual proof, some of it I already have. You've noticed I would put a something out, but then they would put Little Nas X out, which would be the exact opposite. They use Little Nas X to, and then you had the Jay Z situation to devalue everything that's being done, because as an externalization, people who for generations have used the externalization of their negative and hateful emotions to say, look, see, they're bad, and then keep going and keep going and keep going until they finally pop. See, I told you so. That's the strategy. That's the tactic. Always create a negative emotion and then say everything is that. So this person's life's in danger, and because of this post does it. I'm not going to go into why of that post, because it would put him in danger. but I don't see any more proof of life. This just came up, yeah, as one of their Hollywood after hours. But the he can't. I told the DA, even I told the DA, he's not going to be able to say he's in danger because then the cartels will kill him. But that's their he's their insurance policy, so to speak, is what they think. And what it's really hard for me to do and hard to say is that I know that Miss Kennedy is their benefactor, and she's protecting a cartel member, and she's doing this by using our our political system. Because I just sat down, I did a thought experiment. I'm like, okay, if I'm this, I have all this, I'm 300 million, blah blah blah. Who would I have bought out? Who are the players in California politics? And it doesn't take much thinking to figure that out. And how could somebody be keeping somebody to do this under even while under national scrutiny? Now I'm not. Now what would I have done? I would have sat there. Who are the people I would have called? Who do we know? Would be got to make it look like it because this drug cartel dealer happens to be black. So you couldn't make it look to be racist. So I'd have to find somebody who's black. So who would those be? Maxine Waters, who's a big player in politics. Well, that in California politics, that would be Vice President Harris. So give those people a call. Who would I call? Now, when I got out of the military, because of what I did, I was being sort of recruited to do not private security, corporate espionage, and another one like Blackwater. So I know the capabilities of what's going on, of how to get this done. So everything that she can do, I know how to do as well. So she can't play the BS. I create problems for Miss Kennedy that very few people on the planet across multiple domains can present, both by education, genetics, by education, generational education, caste, and class. Now, am I accusing her of these things? I'm just saying this is a hypothesis. I would never accuse somebody of something, but it doesn't make sense unless, no, because their behaviors got worse. The more power that this person thinks he can get away with, the worse he is getting. Him and these two women. So Miss Kennedy, because also I'm the one who knows how to make this business worth millions. I'm the one who understands the a lot of things, and so still actually, I know that somebody was in my computers for months. It's pretty much a keylogger, from my understanding, from what I can tell, and because there was points where I'd be doing, and two things happened. One thing, well, three, but I'm not going to say what the third one is. But the first one was I was sitting there doing my readings, my own personal beliefs and what I believe in God and how God works. And there used to be this next door neighbor. And he's up there talking to me about stuff that he does not believe in and he's like, oh, you do this and that. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And I'm playing stupid. So I can draw him along, think that he's being so linguistically clever. What I was basically doing was counter-interrogating him. And then I kept waiting over the months. That's one of the reasons I was so exhausted, because I'm playing mind games with this idiot, trying to figure out who is he working for, what type of people does he work for, and what are they looking for? Because it was literally, I'm sitting here doing my research, doing my things, and I'm on a PDF, and I'm watching the dude sit there, scroll through my freaking PDF and a remote. And I'm thinking, okay, the only two entities that, you have to have a really good hacker, or it had to be government. I wasn't government, I don't think, or it wasn't, or maybe they got it from the back end, I don't know. but it damn sure he was hacking in my stuff because he didn't believe in the things that I believe in, and he was mocking my beliefs, thinking I didn't understand what he was saying. I then used that to burn him through his systems backwards. I was counter interrogating and counter doing things. So I might do things, I would do something and then watch to see what their reaction was and figure out who was within the network. And it always kept going as I would look back. It always kept going, and the all across multiple network systems always return back to Miss Kennedy. But that's harder to prove, but it can be proved both mathematically. So right now you have this individual who is being held in a foreign country against his will, but he can't say that he's being held against his will. If this man dies or gets caught at the border with drugs or whatever, because that's not what he wants, and besides, he would lose too much because, as I said, I'm the one. See, the narcissist had to try to devalue me when it was my ideas. And so the value point, they try to make it view, well, the value point is this minor celebrity, but the value point was actually always in the radio station. And I actually don't even need him or any of them. And to me, I view it as a freaking headache. I'd rather just go about my business and be done with all of this. But you can't sit there and you just, it would be wrong. And people who are narcissistic don't care. Narcissistic and psychopathic don't care about right or wrong because they're just basically fearful people. Well, actually children, because they never grew past 5. And so back to back to where I was take it off. So they have the Senator Harris or Vice President Harris, probably called Vice President Harris, asked her who or Miss Kennedy probably, because what I was able to figure out is because apparently Jay-Z probably is still an active gang member. At least he actively cohorts with certain persons because he still actively has that rhythm, and it's not African American. There's an African American rhythm, and then there's another rhythm on top of that that is gang. And it doesn't matter if you are white collar, blue collar. You can't. I can see it. Most people cannot. That is what one of my gifts are, provable. And so she calls up, uses her network, because a woman is her network. People are their network, not just women, but to women especially, psychologically, so as proven with research. So calls her network. Now this dude's across the border, so who's the most powerful person? You're going to go with the most powerful person you can get. And I'm going to say that by no means is the vice president involved in this, but you would have called the vice president. The vice president would say, "Hey, these are the people that you could use." And now you see how they entangle persons, and so now the vice president would be entangled in this situation. So I'm trying to state it in a way to de-entangle the vice president, because I also know to most African Americans, especially since the vice president's chief of staff is an African American woman, I don't get along with African Americans in general, and African American women absolutely usually hate me because I do what the hell I want. I live my life. I am not a slave. I'm free. I've been free since I was born. And it's just a cultural thing. I picked up the habits of my mom before she changed. And those habits are of a person of the 1% of another country. Even though I was blending in the habits of an American. I'm still American, more than anything. But 1%, no matter what country you go to, almost, at least within the British, have there's certain things that are just there, and you cannot fake them. It's just, I cannot explain it. If you understand it, you understand it. If you don't, you don't. So in general, so what I'm saying is, so this person's probably going to go, oh, we got this person, he's attacked, quote, they would say attacked, but I'm just being me from my perspective, I'm just being a fan. And so it'll look, so it goes, oh, that dude, he ain't nothing, we got him, blah. I've heard that so many times until they find out I'm not what I am. My abilities are far greater than what they thought. And then they get pissed because it's like, well, because what has happened over the years is they've used this triangulation. People who are not are powerful people have used this triangulation to devalue the hardworking African American male and overvalue the the persons, the drug dealers, the gang bangers, and then the gay folks, gay men. Now they've devalued just the regular heterosexual male in the African American community, therefore destroying the ability for the African American male to hold up his community. And you can see that within the destruction of the family unit within the African American community. And this whole situation is actually working its way up through into the Caucasian community. And that's where you see all this bitching and moaning about. So with all those situations going on, what it really still comes back down to, so you have all these things thinking in this, and so I'm being viewed as a bad person when I'm not. And then countering that, she's then using Jay-Z, Little Nas to create a secondary negative, a narrative away from everything that that the civil rights were trying to produce. So I was doing all of this. I was doing counter intel, counter human intel, as they're hacking my computer, keylogging. They're trying to figure out, wanted me to, because I kept getting this pressure. We need you to write this business plan. I'm like, I'm not writing them. No, I knew it was up. Something was up. So I did everything that seemed weird because I knew something was up. This man's life's in danger because a because this cartel drug dealer is being protected by very powerful people. But because I have been breadcrumbing everything back to him. Anything happens to this individual or myself, know this: it is because of that drug dealer and cartel member and all the other and his lawyer and that minor celebrity. There is no ifs, ands, or buts to it. And that makes them pervy to premeditated murder or premeditated kidnapping and multiple other things that we as human beings say is not correct to do. We keep letting this person get away with this, and he's going to get worse. This is what happens in Mexico. Oh, we'll just do a little bit, and then next thing they get a little more money, then they're moving into something else, and then everything is a wreck. So even though I'm coming back, I'm going to go back to a different video for the video voting rights later this afternoon. But this is very important because the last true proof of life was a week ago, and this needs to stop with this person. I'm not a because it also fits into the narcissistic AB triangulation, where okay, we get voting rights, well then they're going to get all the money from the radio station. No. First off, I'm not going to create the business model because I really don't want the headache. I can do money on my own because I keep my own freedom. But two, that's just not right. And I could see now why it shows what happens in the African American community. It shows what happens in a lot of things that happen in why these and why and how they manipulate African Americans into being more impoverished. So if this man dies, or has, or they say that he has drugs at the when he has to cross back over the border, or any of those things, as I told the DA in L.A., he did not do that on purpose. He is being pressured or pushed to do so, because to do, say you're moving, say there was a street value of, let's say, $2 million worth of drugs pushed into his vehicle on the way back over. You think he gets any of that? The radio station's worth more than that. Not yet, but in my hands it is. So giving up something that's worth millions for some maybe a few thousand doesn't make sense. So if the government's going to keep protecting, and I understand part of the reason of protecting it, for like, because you at least you know the devil you know, but in this protection, this guy has gotten worse. This woman, these three have gotten worse. This minor celebrity, the drug cartel gang member, and the attorney have gotten worse to the point where they believe that they can just go over and start threatening people. And I'm not, and it's not just this PhD that they have threatened. This person who talked about who does narcissism they've threatened. It's not just them, and it's not just this person either. And the whole goal is to sit there and just string it out, and then everyone forgets, and then they can get everything. And the usual pattern. It's the same pattern they're using with the whole voting rights, that you're just going to wear everybody down and then forget about it. It'll be done. And then African Americans and European Americans and working people won't have voting rights. That's their goal. And that cannot happen, because I'll explain some more later on another video later this afternoon after we see what happens with the march, because I do have a strategy that where we need to go. But I can't sit there and allow somebody to be murdered. I mean, I can't do anything, but I could at least do. I can at least say and get up in the morning and go, I have done what I can. I can't go down and jump in a plane. Well, I probably, well, yeah, you know, I know who to hire to go down and jump in a plane and try to find this guy. If, but right now, just something up. And then from a metaphysical perspective, over the last 2 weeks, the Abeloth meme entity has been trying to block my connection to, quote, the Force, which it just goes to show how foolish that entity is. So, anywho, I'll be doing another video this afternoon after I see what happens with the marches and see if they made it to the news, and how they came into the news cycle or didn't come in the news cycle. Hopefully they'll come into the news cycle, and then we can start to work from there. And my different thinking, but I cannot go forward until I know that this person is no longer in danger. I should say cannot go forward, but this person's in danger, and he's being protected by my hypothesis. He's being protected by Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, he's being the drug dealer, cartel member, and the minor celebrity are using Kathleen Kennedy as their benefactor to do that, because their target is the ownership of the radio station. But the thing is, they have no idea how to the business models or whatever, and they can say, well, I think, but it's the brand that they're after. All right, I'll speak with you later this afternoon.